There are some stories that, if you only heard them secondhand, most people would probably think they were made up. But the story I'm about to share today is completely true. It's something I experienced firsthand. The phone calls, the appointments, and every moment in this story I can still remember as clearly as day. I've decided to tell this story not to blame anyone, nor because I want people to judge the person involved. That's why I won't mention their name or any identifying details. What I really want to share is a lesson about keeping your word. Because I trusted a promise, I waited for 4 straight days. For 4 days, I turned away every other buyer. For 4 days, I woke up each morning believing they'd finally show up that day. But, in the end, all I got was one postponed appointment after another. Right around then, the weather took a turn for the worse. The heavy rain kept pouring down. The water in the fields started to rise. Then, at 3 in the morning, the irrigation pump suddenly broke down. Standing in the rain that night, I finally realized just how valuable a promise can be to the person making it. It may have been just a casual promise, but to the person waiting, it meant everything. It all began during the previous onion season. Back then, I got to know a produce buyer who was in his 50s. My first impression was that he spoke very calmly and politely. He was also efficient, straightforward, and easy to work with. That day, he came to inspect my onion field, and we discussed the price, and we quickly reached an agreement. There was no haggling, no wasting time. Once everything was weighed, he paid in full, right there on the spot, while we were sitting down for a drink. he said something that stuck with me. In business, your word is everything. Hearing that, I couldn't have agreed more. As a farmer, I never ask for much. All I hope for is mutual respect between buyer and seller. If you say you'll do something, then follow through. Show up when you said you would. To me, that's worth a great deal. After that first transaction, I trusted him completely. I even thought, if we kept working together in future harvests, it would benefit both of us. What I didn't realize was that the very trust I had in him would make me let my guard down. As time went by, my next onion crop was ready for harvest. Anyone who's ever grown onions will understand that feeling. Harvest too early, and the bulbs aren't fully mature. Harvest too late, and you risk getting caught in the rain. That's why onion growers have to time everything carefully. That day, I called him myself. I told him my onions were ready to be harvested. If he was interested, he could come take a look. He answered right away. He said, he'd come by around 10 o'clock the next morning. Hearing that, I felt completely at ease. So I didn't contact any other buyers at that moment. I had only one thing on my mind. Tomorrow would go just like last time. He'd come to inspect the onions. We'd weigh the harvest. Then I'd move on to preparing for the next crop. It never crossed my mind that things would take a completely different turn. The next morning, I got up before sunrise. That's just how life is when you're a farmer. I checked the field. checked the water level, cleared away the remaining weeds. But that day, every few minutes, I'd glance at my watch. I also kept my phone right beside me. I was worried I'd miss his call if I didn't answer. As it got closer to 10 o'clock, I started paying attention to every vehicle passing by. Every time I heard an engine, I'd look up right away. But each time, the vehicle just kept going. It wasn't the person I was waiting for. 10 o'clock came and went. Then he was still nowhere to be seen. That's when I decided to call him. He answered almost immediately. His voice sounded completely normal. He said something unexpected had come up. He couldn't make it that morning. He asked to postpone it until the afternoon. All I said was, "Sure." Honestly, I didn't suspect a thing. Everyone gets busy sometimes. I figured he'd come that afternoon. So I kept waiting. That afternoon, things once again didn't go the way I expected. That afternoon, I kept waiting. As the afternoon was drawing to a close, I decided to call him again. He answered. His voice sounded perfectly normal. He chuckled and said, "I completely forgot today." Hearing that, I was a little surprised. But then, he added, "I'll come tomorrow." Just those 4 words, and I believed him. All over again. Maybe it was because our first transaction had gone so smoothly. So I figured he really was just tied up. Tomorrow, everything would be back to normal. The next morning, I got up early again. I went through my usual routine. Out in the onion field. But my mind was still focused on our appointment. When the agreed time came, he still hadn't shown up. I called him once again. He asked to postpone it. He didn't say he wasn't buying. He didn't cancel either. He simply said he couldn't make it that day, but he'd come the next day. And just like that, another day slipped by. By then, I found myself in a difficult position. If he had simply said, "I'm not buying, after all," I would have called another buyer right away. Everything would have been so much simpler. But he never said that. He just kept asking to reschedule. I told myself, just wait one more day. Maybe he'll show up tomorrow. That single thought kept me from moving on. And because of it, I kept missing other opportunities. That's when I began to realize that waiting doesn't just cost you time, it also costs you countless opportunities. Then, the thing I feared most finally started to happen. The sky darkened in a hurry. More and more dark clouds rolled in.
The weather forecast kept warning off heavy rain. That's when I realized I was running out of time. That night, the rain finally began. At first, it was just a light drizzle. I still hoped it would clear up before long. But as the night went on, the rain only got heavier. The sound of it hammering against the tin roof kept me wide awake. Around 3 in the morning, I jumped out of bed. The first thing I did was grab a flashlight. I threw on a raincoat and rushed to the field. By the time I got there, the water was already rising. The first thing I did was start the irrigation pump. That pump had been with Meth Rough many harvests. I had always believed I could count on it. It would keep running without a problem. But this time, things didn't go that way. The engine made only a few faint sounds, then went silent. I tried starting it again. Then I tried one more time. But the pump still wouldn't start. Standing there in the pouring rain, I was completely stunned. I watched the water slowly rising across the field. All I could think was, if this keeps up, all my hard work could be ruined. At that moment, I forced myself to stay calm. Panicking wouldn't solve anything. I checked the water level in the canal. Fortunately, it was still lower than the field. I opened UPA drainage path to let the water flow out naturally. It wasn't as fast as using the pump, but it was the only thing I could do at that moment. That night, I barely slept. I just hoped daybreak would come soon, so I could fix the pump and save me onion field. Sitting there in the rain, it suddenly hit me. If he'd been honest with me from the very beginning, maybe things would have turned out differently. But life doesn't give us what ifs. The only thing I could do was learn from it. A lesson I'll never forget. Your word is everything.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment.